The sun shone brightly on a bustling street in New Chicago. People filled the sidewalks, laughing and chatting as they went about their day. Children played with bright-colored toys, their laughter echoing in the air. Street vendors shouted, selling everything from delicious food to shiny gadgets. The atmosphere was vibrant, alive with energy. It was a typical day, but little did they know that this joy was about to be shattered. Suddenly, the sky darkened as a shadow passed overhead. A low rumble filled the air, growing louder by the second. People stopped and looked up, confusion spreading across their faces. In an instant, a massive alien ship appeared, hovering ominously above the city. Its sleek metallic surface gleamed in the sunlight, but there was nothing beautiful about the danger it represented. Panic erupted as the crowd scrambled for safety. Then came the blast, a deafening roar that shook the ground beneath them. A bright flash lit up the street and people screamed as chaos unfolded. The alien ship unleashed a torrent of energy beams, striking buildings and sending debris flying. In the midst of the chaos, a little girl, no more than 7 years old, stood frozen in fear. Her wide eyes reflected the terror around her, and in that moment, time seemed to slow. A nearby soldier rushed forward, desperately trying to reach her, but it was too late. A beam struck nearby, sending shockwaves that knocked him off his feet. The girl was caught in the explosion, and her tiny body was thrown backward. The world around her faded into silence. The soldier's heart sank as he witnessed the tragedy unfold. As the dust settled, the street was filled with destruction. The once lively atmosphere turned into a nightmare. Bystanders stood in shock, some weeping for the innocent child who had lost her life. The soldier, a tall and handsome officer named Captain Alex Ryder, felt a wave of anger and grief wash over him. He rushed to the girl's side, kneeling in the rubble. The sight of her small, lifeless body broke something inside him. "What have they done?" he whispered, clenching his fists. His heart burned with rage, and he could feel the sorrow of those around him. It was more than just anger. It was a deep, consuming pain that drove him forward. He looked up at the alien ship, which hovered like a dark omen in the sky. News of the attack spread like wildfire. Earth's leaders quickly convened an emergency meeting. In a large, dimly lit room, representatives from various nations gathered, their faces grim. Captain Ryder was invited to speak, and he took a deep breath as he entered the room. The weight of the world felt heavy on his shoulders. "We cannot let this act of terror go unanswered," he exclaimed, his voice strong and passionate. "This isn't just about revenge. It's about protecting our future. If we don't stand up now, we risk losing everything we hold dear." The room fell silent as the leaders exchanged glances. They could see the fire in Ryder's eyes, a determination that resonated with their own fears. They knew the aliens were technologically advanced, but they also understood the need to fight back. After a tense discussion, the decision was made. Earth would unleash its most powerful weapon, 700,000 dreadnoughts, the most advanced warships ever built. These ships were equipped with cloaking devices, artificial intelligence, and the latest weaponry. They were humanity's last hope against the alien threat. As Captain Ryder stepped out of the meeting room, a sense of resolve filled him. The time for action had come. He would lead humanity into battle, not just for the fallen child, but for every person who had ever dreamed of a peaceful life. The dreadnoughts would rise, and Earth would show the universe that they were not to be underestimated. With the weight of the mission ahead, Ryder glanced back at the sky, determination etched on his face. "We will avenge you," he vowed, knowing that every heart on Earth would fight for the little girl and all the innocents lost. The fight for humanity's survival had just begun. This expansion maintains the suspense and emotional weight while ensuring it's engaging and easy to read. Let me know if you need any further changes. The news of the alien attack spread quickly, igniting a fire of determination across the globe. Nations that once argued over petty issues now stood united. In cities around the world, military bases came alive with activity. Soldiers in uniform hustled to prepare for the battle ahead. They knew they were up against a powerful enemy, and each one of them felt the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. In New Chicago, Captain Alex Ryder stood at the front of a training field, his tall figure commanding attention. The sun shone brightly as he faced a group of soldiers, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. "Listen up," he called out, his voice cutting through the noise. What happened yesterday was not just an attack, it was a declaration of war. We are all here because we believe in our right to protect our home. The soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted by his words. Ryder could see the fire in their eyes. He knew they were ready to fight, but they needed to train harder than ever. They began practicing with advanced technologies that were nothing like the weapons of the past. They trained with cloaking devices that allowed them to become invisible, making them harder to detect in battle. AI-assisted weaponry guided their shots, improving their accuracy. Each training session was intense, filled with action, as the soldiers pushed themselves to the limit. As the days passed, the urgency of their mission grew. Ryder noticed a particular soldier named Sarah, a talented pilot with a fierce determination. She was quick-witted and skilled, but there was a sadness behind her eyes. One day during a break, Ryder approached her. "You've been quiet lately. Everything okay?" Sarah took a deep breath and looked away. I lost someone in the attack. It hurts to think about fighting those aliens, even though I know we have to." Ryder nodded, understanding the pain of loss. "We'll fight for them, for everyone we've lost. That's why we're here." Just then, a voice interrupted them. "You humans are brave, but you're also naive." Turning around, they saw a female alien standing nearby. Her skin shimmered with a metallic hue, and her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. She was Zara, a member of the alien race that had attacked Earth. But unlike her kin, she harbored doubts about their mission. "I have seen the destruction my people can cause," Zara said, her voice steady but laced with sadness. "Not all of us agree with their methods. I've come to warn you." Ryder and Sarah exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. "Why should we trust you?" Ryder asked, suspicion creeping into his voice. "Because I don't want more bloodshed," Zara replied. "Your technology is advanced, but we have a hidden weapon. If you prepare wisely, you might have a chance." This unexpected alliance opened new possibilities. Zara became an invaluable asset, sharing insights about the alien technology and strategies. Ryder felt the weight of her words. The stakes had risen higher than they had imagined. Meanwhile, military strategists gathered in high-tech command centers, discussing the plan to engage the aliens. Large screens displayed detailed maps and data. The tension in the air was palpable as they analyzed the alien fleet's movements. "We need to strike fast and hard," a strategist declared, pointing at the screen. "Using cloaking devices, we can sneak past their defenses. Our dreadnoughts must hit their flagship before they realize what's happening." Ryder listened intently, feeling the excitement build. He envisioned the upcoming battle in his mind, dreadnoughts soaring through space, cloaked and undetected, ready to unleash their firepower. As the plans took shape, the soldiers practiced maneuvers that would become crucial in the fight ahead. They simulated combat scenarios, and the air buzzed with energy. The camaraderie among the soldiers grew, fueled by their shared purpose. "Together we will show them what humanity is capable of," Ryder encouraged, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "We fight for our fallen. We fight for our future!" With determination in their hearts and hope in their eyes, the soldiers prepared for the battle that would decide their fate. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They were a united force, ready to face the enemy. The time for action was near, and the world held its breath, waiting for the moment when humanity would rise against the stars. The day had finally arrived. The air buzzed with excitement and tension as Captain Alex Ryder stood on the command deck of the massive launch bay. He looked out at the rows of dreadnoughts lined up like sleeping giants, ready to awaken for battle. The dreadnoughts were humanity's most advanced warships, designed to take on the alien fleet. "Today we show them what we're made of," Ryder shouted, his voice echoing through the chamber. The crew members around him cheered, their faces filled with determination. They had trained for this moment, and now it was time to act. As the countdown began, the crew moved swiftly to their stations. The atmosphere was electric. Each dreadnought, equipped with cloaking devices, was about to disappear from the enemy's sight. The engines roared to life, and the ships began to lift off the ground one by one. "Cloaking devices activated," a technician called out, and the ships shimmered before vanishing into thin air. It was a spectacular sight, as if they had been swallowed by the very stars. The dreadnoughts soared into space, heading toward the enemy's location. Ryder felt his heart race with anticipation. This was the moment he had been preparing for. As they approached the alien fleet, Ryder's eyes widened. Thousands of alien ships floated in space, their forms twisted and menacing. But he didn't hesitate. "All ships, engage," he commanded. The dreadnoughts emerged from their cloaked state, unleashing a barrage of energy beams. The initial confrontation was intense. Ryder watched as his crew maneuvered the ships through the chaos, avoiding incoming fire and returning shots with deadly precision. The battle was fast-paced, filled with the whirling of laser blasts and the explosions of ships disintegrating in the void of space. Dreadnoughts weaved through the enemy fleet like hawks diving for prey. The crew members shouted orders and encouragement, their spirits high despite the danger. But just as victory seemed within reach, the tide began to turn. A massive alien ship emerged from behind the smaller vessels. It was unlike anything they had seen before, an enormous AI-controlled warship that dwarfed the dreadnoughts. Its surface gleamed with an eerie glow, and its weapons powered up, ready to fire. "Fall back!" Ryder shouted, but it was too late. The alien ship unleashed a wave of energy that engulfed several dreadnoughts in blinding light. Ryder's heart sank as he realized their advantage had been snatched away. The aliens had a hidden weapon, and now they were outmatched. Part 4. The Turning Point. With the situation growing desperate, Ryder gathered his officers in the command room. "We need a new plan," he said, feeling the pressure mount. Zara, the sympathetic alien, stood by his side. "I can help," she offered, her voice steady. "My people have weaknesses we can exploit." Ryder looked at her, recognizing the courage it took to stand against her own kind. "Tell us what you know." Zara explained how the alien ship was controlled by a central AI system. If they could disable it, they might turn the tide of battle. As they formulated a strategy, Ryder couldn't shake the image of the little girl who had died in the initial attack. He felt a surge of anger and sadness wash over him. The stakes had become personal. This battle was not just about winning, it was about avenging the innocent lives lost. He remembered the faces of his fallen comrades, the brave soldiers who had fought by his side. He couldn't let their sacrifice be in vain. Ryder took a deep breath and turned to his crew. "Listen to me," he said, his voice strong. "We are fighting not just for ourselves, but for those we've lost. This is our chance to show the universe that humanity will not back down. We will fight with everything we have." His words ignited a fire in the hearts of his crew. They nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They knew what they had to do. Ryder could see the bond between them grow stronger, each person ready to risk everything for their cause. As they prepared for the next attack, Ryder felt a sense of unity among his team. They were no longer just soldiers, they were a family, fighting for their home and each other. "Let's do this," Ryder said, and the crew erupted in cheers. They moved into action, ready to face the alien threat head-on. Together, they would reclaim their future, standing tall against the darkness that sought to consume them. The atmosphere in the command room was thick with tension as Captain Alex Ryder faced his crew. The battle against the alien fleet was not going as planned. The appearance of the massive AI-controlled warship had shifted the odds against them. Ryder knew they had to think fast and act smart if they wanted to turn the tide. "All right, team," he began, looking at the faces of his crew, some weary and others filled with determination. "We're in a tough spot, but we have a chance. Zara, tell us more about that ship." Zara, the alien who had joined their cause, stepped forward. "The AI on that ship controls its weapons and defenses. If we can disable the AI, we can weaken their attack. But it's located in the heart of the ship, heavily guarded." Ryder listened intently. "What's the best way to get in?" he asked. Zara pointed to a holographic display showing the enemy fleet. "There's a blind spot on the ship's left flank. If you approach from that angle, you might be able to slip in unnoticed. Once inside, you'll need to reach the control room quickly." Ryder could feel the tension in the room shift as hope began to flicker. "It's a risky move, but it's our best shot," he said. "We'll split into 2 teams. One team will create a diversion to draw the ship's defenses away, while the other team sneaks inside." "Who will lead the infiltration team?" one of the officers asked. Ryder hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the decision. He knew he had to be the one to go, but he also wanted to protect his crew. "I'll lead the infiltration team," he declared finally. "We'll need our best to pull this off." As the teams prepared for the operation, Ryder took a moment to himself. He couldn't shake the image of the little girl who had died in the attack that had started this conflict. Her innocent face haunted him, reminding him of the stakes they were fighting for. He thought about his fallen comrades, the brave soldiers who had sacrificed their lives. This battle wasn't just a mission, it was personal. With a renewed sense of purpose, Ryder gathered his team. "Listen up!" he called out, his voice steady. "We are fighting not just for victory, but for every life lost in this war. We owe it to them to give everything we have. We will face danger, but we will not back down." The crew nodded, their resolve strengthening with every word. Ryder could see the fire in their eyes. They were no longer just soldiers. They were a family bound by a common purpose. They had a mission to complete, and together they would fight for their future. As they launched their plan, the first team began their diversion. Dreadnoughts darted around the alien ship, firing at it from a distance. The aliens responded, focusing their weapons on the incoming ships. This created the perfect opening for Ryder and his infiltration team. "Now's our chance!" Ryder shouted, steering their ship toward the blind spot. The ship glided silently, cloaked from the enemy's view. Adrenaline surged through Ryder's veins as they approached the alien vessel. Once they were close enough, Ryder led his team out of the ship, donning their tactical gear. The air was tense as they crept toward the entrance, every sound amplifying their nerves. "Stay focused and stick together," Ryder reminded them. As they entered the ship, they were met with darkness. The corridors were vast and empty, but Ryder could feel the danger lurking. He glanced back at his team, their faces showing both fear and determination. "Let's move," he whispered. They moved swiftly, navigating the maze of hallways until they reached the control room. But as they approached, alarms blared throughout the ship. The aliens had detected them. "Quickly! We have to reach the AI core!" Ryder yelled, pushing his team forward. They raced against time, their hearts pounding in their chests. The sound of alien footsteps echoed behind them, drawing closer with every passing second. Finally, they burst into the control room. Ryder's eyes widened as he saw the central AI unit, a pulsating orb of light at the center of the room. But before they could reach it, several alien guards appeared, blocking their path. "Get ready!" Ryder shouted as the guards charged at them. A fierce battle erupted, and Ryder fought with everything he had. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was the turning point, the moment that could change everything for humanity. With his team by his side, Ryder fought hard, determined to reach the AI core. As the clash continued, he knew that victory was within their grasp. All they had to do was believe in themselves and each other. The control room was filled with tension as Captain Alex Ryder and his team prepared for the final showdown. The alien guards had fallen, but time was running out. They could hear the distant sound of more guards approaching, their footsteps echoing ominously in the halls. "Ryder, we need to disable the AI quickly," one of his team members urged, glancing nervously at the door. "They'll be here any minute." Ryder nodded, feeling the weight of their mission on his shoulders. "Zara, can you access the AI's control panel?" he asked, looking at the alien who had stood by them through thick and thin. "Yes," Zara replied, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. She hurried to the pulsating orb at the center of the room. "I'll need a few minutes to upload a virus that will shut it down." "Do it! We'll hold them off," Ryder said, his heart racing. He and his team took positions around the room, ready to defend Zara as she worked. The door burst open, and a wave of alien guards flooded into the room, their weapons drawn. Ryder shouted, "Here they come!" He raised his weapon and fired, hitting the nearest guard. The rest of his team followed suit, unleashing a flurry of blasts that filled the air with sparks and smoke. Despite their efforts, the aliens kept coming. Ryder felt a surge of adrenaline as he fought to protect his team. He dodged incoming fire and returned shots, focusing on keeping Zara safe. Every second felt like an eternity. "Just a little longer," Zara called out, her fingers flying across the control panel. Ryder could see the determination on her face, and he knew they had to succeed. As the battle raged on, Ryder's team fought fiercely, working together to take down the aliens one by one. But the enemy was relentless, and the odds seemed stacked against them. Ryder glanced at the doorway and saw more guards arriving. They couldn't hold out much longer. "Ryder!" one of his team shouted, narrowly avoiding a blast from an alien weapon. "We need to fall back!" "No!" Ryder shouted, refusing to retreat. "We're so close!" "Zara, how much longer?" "Almost there!" Zara replied, her voice strained but determined. Suddenly, an alien officer charged into the room, more formidable than the others. He was larger and more powerful, with advanced armor that glimmered in the dim light. The officer raised his weapon, aiming directly at Zara. "Get down!" Ryder yelled, pushing Zara out of the way just in time. The blast missed her but struck one of Ryder's team members, sending him crashing to the ground. Ryder felt a wave of fury surge through him. This was not just a battle for victory, it was a fight for every life lost, including his fallen friend. He charged at the alien officer, dodging blasts and maneuvering with determination. The officer met him with equal force, and the two began to fight, exchanging blows in a fierce struggle. Ryder pushed himself to the limit, remembering the faces of those they had lost. He couldn't let them down. With one final surge of strength, he disarmed the officer, sending his weapon clattering to the floor. In a swift motion, Ryder landed a powerful blow, knocking the officer to the ground. Breathing heavily, Ryder turned back to Zara. "How's it going?" he asked, urgency in his voice. "I'm almost finished," she replied, her eyes focused on the screen. Just as she said that, alarms blared, and the room shook with the sound of explosions nearby. The aliens were pushing hard to regain control. Ryder could feel the tension mounting. "We have to make it count!" he shouted. Finally, with one last keystroke, Zara announced, "Done! The AI is shut down." In that instant, the pulsating orb began to flicker, and the lights in the room dimmed. The alien warship shuddered, and Ryder could see confusion spreading among the remaining guards. "They were losing control! Now's our chance!" Ryder yelled. "Let's finish this!" With renewed energy, Ryder and his team launched a final assault. The guards, realizing their defeat, tried to flee, but it was too late. Ryder and his team fought with everything they had, pushing the aliens back until they were cornered. As the last alien fell, Ryder breathed a sigh of relief. The room was silent, except for the sound of their heavy breathing. They had done it. They had won. Zara smiled at Ryder, her eyes shining with gratitude. "We did it together," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Ryder nodded, feeling a sense of pride wash over him. "Now we can fight for a better future," he said, knowing that this victory was just the beginning. Together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their resolve to protect humanity. The sound of silence filled the control room as Captain Alex Ryder and his team surveyed the aftermath of their fierce battle. They had defeated the alien fleet, and now, as the dust began to settle, a wave of relief washed over them. It was a moment they had fought hard to achieve. As the battle raged on, Ryder's team fought fiercely, working together to take down the aliens one by one. But the enemy was relentless, and the odds seemed stacked against them. Ryder glanced at the doorway and saw more guards arriving. They couldn't hold out much longer. "Ryder!" one of his team shouted, narrowly avoiding a blast from an alien weapon. "We need to fall back." "No!" Ryder shouted, refusing to retreat. "We're so close!" "Zara, how much longer?" "Almost there," Zara replied, her voice strained but determined. Suddenly, an alien officer charged into the room, more formidable than the others. He was larger and more powerful, with advanced armor that glimmered in the dim light. The officer raised his weapon, aiming directly at Zara. "Get down!" Ryder yelled, pushing Zara out of the way just in time. The blast missed her but struck one of Ryder's team members, sending him crashing to the ground. Ryder felt a wave of fury surge through him. This was not just a battle for victory, it was a fight for every life lost, including his fallen friend. He charged at the alien officer, dodging blasts and maneuvering with determination. The officer met him with equal force, and the two began to fight, exchanging blows in a fierce struggle. Ryder pushed himself to the limit, remembering the faces of those they had lost. He couldn't let them down. With one final surge of strength, he disarmed the officer, sending his weapon clattering to the floor. In a swift motion, Ryder landed a powerful blow, knocking the officer to the ground. Breathing heavily, Ryder turned back to Zara. "How's it going?" he asked, urgency in his voice. "I'm almost finished," she replied, her eyes focused on the screen. Just as she said that, alarms blared, and the room shook with the sound of explosions nearby. The aliens were pushing hard to regain control. Ryder could feel the tension mounting. "We have to make it count," he shouted. Finally, with one last keystroke, Zara announced, "Done! The AI is shut down." In that instant, the pulsating orb began to flicker, and the lights in the room dimmed. The alien warship shuddered, and Ryder could see confusion spreading among the remaining guards. "They were losing control! Now's our chance!" Ryder yelled. "Let's finish this!" With renewed energy, Ryder and his team launched a final assault. The guards, realizing their defeat, tried to flee, but it was too late. Ryder and his team fought with everything they had, pushing the aliens back until they were cornered. As the last alien fell, Ryder breathed a sigh of relief. The room was silent, except for the sound of their heavy breathing. They had done it. They had won. Zara smiled at Ryder, her eyes shining with gratitude. "We did it together," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Ryder nodded, feeling a sense of pride wash over him. "Now we can fight for a better future," he said, knowing that this victory was just the beginning. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their resolve to protect humanity. The sound of silence filled the control room as Captain Alex Ryder and his team surveyed the aftermath of their fierce battle. They had defeated the alien fleet, and now, as the dust began to settle, a wave of relief washed over them. It was a moment they had fought hard to achieve.